everybody, we're going to show you this dent here that is going to be repaired. About 80% of it will come up with cold glue, and then I'm going to say the next 15% will come up with hot glue, and then we're going to do a little bit. Couldn't get through the taillight pocket, but we went around the taillight pocket and was able to get in. First thing we're going to do here is clean it off with alcohol, and that way we can get the cold glue to stick. So we're wiping off like maybe any waxes or dirt or anything, because we don't want to get on to the cold glue. And right here you can see a large part of the dent with the first pull, and then we go on and another little decent amount pulls up here, and the further you get towards the edge, the tighter the dent gets, but it's pulling up pretty good until you get right here to the edge. It's very tight. So we move back a little bit to the where it's just a little bit shallower, and just keep on trying to pull up more and more of the dent here. Anyway, Kanan pulled the tail light out, and there was no access to be able to get through the tail light pocket. So that's why we're going with all cold glue to start with. Where this metal's a little bit thinner, it really brings it up very clean. And then we're going to use hot glue right in this area here in just a minute, because it's too tight for the cold glue. We're just trying to get all of it up we can. But we're fixing to break out the hot glue here in just a few minutes to help bring this up. And this repair here, the video is about 18 minutes long, but this dent took a little over 3 hours to do the repairs. So anyway, it ended up coming out pretty good, but it was a little bit challenging, being that it was all glue pull and right near a body line, but it came out good though. We're using a thinner Glexo tab right here. There's also a wider rectangle one, but this was the thin one. Now we're swapping up to this round one here. The car was sitting outside and was very hot. So anyway, here's what happens. We had a whole lot of heat, which melted this glue real quick, and we had a little bit of fun getting the glue off. But whenever this happens, all you gotta do is just stick it back to the tab, stick it to the car, pull it a few times, and the next thing you know, you've got all the glue back off the car. But should have cooled the car down just a little bit more. And now we're swapping back to this tab right down next to the body line. The wheel well, there was a little crease, and the rounder tab did good pulling it up, but this here actually need to get right down next to the crease, and being that the metal was pretty thin, it was actually bringing it up pretty good. If it had been a thicker metal, we would have had to went with hot glue to make that happen. Now we're blending down a few of the crowns, and now it's time to break out the hot glue and pull, and take it off with the alcohol, wipe it off here, re-glue in different areas, pull again, and take the tabs off. Just have to repeat the process over and over again. As you can see, quite a few times, and just had to keep going over the things. And there you go. You can see it pulled up a little bit on each side of the crease. It shows how sharp the crease was, because right down in the very center you can see the sharpness of it there. And if you haven't already liked and subscribed, I would appreciate it very much. And all your views are deeply appreciated. And here you can see that we have been using about 5 tabs on this of different lengths and widths, and each one has its reason. The little square one right next to the end, I'm trying to pull up a pretty sharp area. So anyway, now we're swapping back up to the cold glue again. This is all a reason behind it, and it's to bring it up cleaner, and whatever makes the dent come up the quickest and the cleanest is what you always want to go with. And we went ahead and going to have Kane putting the tail light back in because it didn't help us out anyway, even though we're not near done with the dent, but there's no need in having it out. So anyway, put it back in and keep on doing the repair on this car and try to get it finished up. But with each pull, as you look into the light, you can see it getting a little better and a little better every time. And the more that you get out, the less moves. But if you just keep on pulling and pulling in the right spots, the dent shrinks smaller and smaller and smaller all the time. Then after you keep on pulling for a while, a lot of times the glue leaves a residue, and you have to wipe it all off real good because you don't have the good shine anymore, and you have to get all that residue off so it will hold a good shine, because that is how you see to do the repairs, is the reflection in the light. So that's one thing to be sure of. And here we're using the hammer knockdown. A decently sharp VIP tip is being used here, trying to knock down the high edges on each side of the little crease. And you can look at it like this: if you pull too hard, it will possibly crack because of the crease. And I decided to start tapping up around this wheel well here, because this actually put a little bit metal up into it and tightened the dent so to ensure that it wouldn't fall down. And you have to be careful when you do that though, because it could crack the paint if you hit it too terrible hard. And now we're going back to some cold glue, because after I relieved some pressure by tapping up on the dent there, it actually made it to where it would pull out easily with the cold glue.
Sometimes cold glue works better than hot glue. faster, cleaner, and in the end cheaper.
Now we're getting very close to being finished, so I'm getting ready to do some water sanding and knock the tops off of the little imperfections, and that way whenever we get ready to do that and buff it, then we can see the little bit that's left, and after we get that in there, we'll pull just a little bit more and it will be finished before long. I'm using some 2000 sandpaper here, so pretty fine, and just getting the little transfer scuffs off of it and the little imperfections. So this just helps to make it look a whole lot better by just sanding and buffing a little bit. Now just a few final pulls and this car will be ready to go back to the customer. Well, here we are finally with the finished product, looking very good and happy with the way this came out. For 95% of it was glue pull. Kind of an aggravating spot near the fuel door, but it did come out pretty good. So if you would like, subscribe if you haven't already, it'd be very appreciated, and we will have a new video out for you in a couple days.
All right, here's the tabs that I used. And can't really see it right here. I'm going to try to get it to where you can see this one here is textured. And these are slick. So these are the ones that I used. Other than the cold glue, that's the only ones I did use.
Call dent tamers for all your door dings, large dents, hail damage in the East Tennessee area.